So the next morning, that's what my volunteers did. They went out and they observed her up in the blue waters closer, and she wasn't really doing too good. She was still shaking, her lips were still shaking. She was taking breaths of air, but not good ones, and she was in the sunlight. So at that time, they were told to keep her in that area, but stay far enough not to get her excited, not to get her upset or agitated. Bob Bunday decided, and Dr. Mark Blau decided that she needed to be pulled. Within a short period of time, a boat was there, rescuers were there, in 10 minutes, they had her in her net.
Janet and the Manatee Watch volunteers were absolutely right. This manatee had to be taken out. It was not doing well. Jumping on the boat, I realized wherever the net went, that's where the animal's going to go. So I stayed with the net. And being lucky, I think that's what most of it was, luck, I got to stay on the boat with some of the world's best manatee researchers. As we unfolded the net, we're getting ready to capture this manatee. Now manatees, to some people, don't seem to be very fast. They can move rather quickly through the water, up to 30 miles an hour, one quick burst of energy. But they usually go trolling along about 8 miles an hour. As the boat was leaving the dock area, they were explaining to me what I needed to do, since I was the amateur there. They were telling me that the net's going to be in the water, other volunteers will be coming out from the shore, and we're going to put this net out across the water. As we circled the manatee with the net, we realized we could not startle the animal or stress the animal. These animals could be stressed and killed just by the stress. So we tried to be as calm and as easy as possible with the net. Unfolding the net was a treat because it was so wrapped up so tightly that we had to do it very gently to get that part so we do not damage the net itself, because the net can also be torn. And we don't need any holes in the net, because all a manatee will do is see one little hole and you'll go for that. As you'll see the individual bringing the net around, you'll see us start encircling the area where the manatee was last seen. As we circle the manatee, we're actually standing on the bottom of the net so he can't slip up underneath it. We're holding the net up. We're trying to calm him down so that he doesn't get excited or get scared. And as we bring the net around him, we do it slowly. The boat slowly comes back, and the scientists on board start pulling the net in. As they're pulling the net, the manatee starts realizing the net is slowly encompassing him around there. He gets a little bit more nervous. So what we do is try to calm him by just kind of standing there and letting him realize that we're not there to hurt him. As we pull it up, the head veterinarian is in the water in the middle there, the gray-haired gentleman. They're actually calming the manatee by actually holding him there with just very calmly with their hands. Now comes the exciting part. As they start to pull the net a little closer, the manatee realizes he's trapped. Now comes the time that they have all the strength in the world to pull this manatee up on the boat. These manatees can go from anywhere from 600 pounds as a young one all the way up to close to 2,000 pounds. As they're pulling, I'm actually pushing from behind. And when we're doing this, the fluke of the manatee actually smacks me on top of the head. I didn't realize the strength of these animals. It was absolutely amazing. As the boat starts to spin here, you'll see one of the rescuers up here, actually with the manatee being pulled in, lands on his legs. Oh, and at this point in time, his ankles almost broke. That's close to 900 pounds on his ankles right now. We immediately moved it over, and then the other scientist gets raised up by the manatee's fluke. That's how strong these animals are. Look at that. Just raises him up like he's nothing, like a little flea or a little bug on his back. Everybody jumps back in the boat. They calm the manatee down. They realize he is in bad condition. He is hypothermic. His little teeth are chattering inside there. His mouth's just quivering. And they need to get him back to the dock as quick as possible. Now comes the fun part for me. I get to walk back with two of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife individuals. And as we walk back, we realize just how beautiful the water is there also. Other fish are out there. It's just a beautiful environment. The water is actually right around 72 degrees. Nice and warm. But outside the water, it's still cold. This is one of the most exciting expeditions I've ever had rescuing exotic or wild animals. This animal here actually needed assistance. Oh, it was amazing. My first manatee rescue. It was absolutely out of this world. This poor guy here needs to be taken back to the zoo, and they're going to take care of him, rehabilitate him. But the power of that animal is unbelievable. Even though it was sick and was having problems, the power was just unbelievable. But we had an opportunity to work with some of the greatest manatee researchers and rescuers here in the Florida area. So this is one of my most exciting ever experiences. Now the sick manatee has to be taken to a dock where we can actually lift the manatee out of the back of the boat. This is where it's going to be fun, because the manatee weighs quite a bit. This one here was close to 900 pounds. In the process of doing this, we have to also make sure the manatee stays calm and doesn't get stressed. Here comes the manatee rescue vehicle, which comes from the Lowry Zoo. And they're going to come down and open up the back, and we're going to put the manatee back there. It's a nice, comfortable place for the manatee to take his little ride back to his rescue facility. We're getting ready to strap him up here. What we do is we put the straps under the manatee so we can actually move him off the netting. You'll see him try to lift him over, roll him over, and try to get him on there. You'll see I got to help out quite a bit with this too. I wasn't planning on doing it. They called me out there. They needed somebody strong to help lift. As we move the manatee, we have to be very, very careful when we move him also because his skin was actually sloughing off, which means with the hypothermia, the skin was actually rotting a little bit. We have to be very gentle with the straps because the straps can actually take some of the skin right off of him. To lift this manatee, you really do have to use your legs, your arms, and everything because this is a very, very big animal. We're going to be moving this manatee up onto a foam platform up to go inside the rescue truck. And you'll notice here we have to spin him around to do that. Now, spinning a manatee in a small boat is not an easy task either. As we reach down, we had to count. We're going to go clockwise around. Everybody counted 1, 2, 3. Oh, there we move. And I still remember this day. I went, oh, because it was very, very heavy. As we move him around, we have to get that big fluke, his big tail, all the way around there to get him in head first. This is not an easy task, but it's something that has to be done. Now comes the fun part, lifting him up onto the foam mattress we had up there waiting him, watching our own ankles and feet that we don't break those. And once the animal was up here, boom, we lower him down. And we actually strap him down with extra straps with cushions on him. That way he stays nice and comfortable. Now once he's in there, that's when Bob and all the veterinarians come in and check him out. They take his temperature, start checking all the injuries he had around there, all the different areas. And what they're going to do is put some betadine and some antiseptic creams and ointments on there to help take care of the healing process. The temperature of this poor guy had dropped because he was hypothermic. His teeth were actually chattering away inside there, just like you would chatter if you were cold, because he is an mammal. As his teeth were chattering, our hearts were breaking because we knew that he was not doing well. This animal had extensive injuries. He was hypothermic and he was frostbitten. The betadine solution that Bob was using here actually helps the healing process to get it started. He wipes it gently on. It's just like your mom gently putting on some antiseptic if you get a cut. We try to be as gentle as possible. The veterinarians were always watching at all times to make sure that he's still okay. This manatee has a big trip ahead of him. Now, he doesn't live at the facility. He's only going to be there to be rehabilitated. And once he feels better, he's going to be turned loose back in the same area we found him. And then we'll have us a nice, big, happy manatee. After we returned back to Ohio, we were notified by the Manatee Watch Group that this manatee's doing great. He's actually splashing and blowing bubbles as we speak.